have the blueprint. Now it's all about getting that signature win, as I mentioned before, because they've had some wins in the Big Ten, Chris, but they haven't been able to capitalize and use those as momentum.
They have two outstanding face-off men as Nick Rowlett wins the opening draw. It's Rowlett and Wheatfeld. We'll see both of them from Michigan, so that's going to be huge for them to get possessions and keep the ball away from this Maryland team. And they gain possession on the opening face-off, but lose it in the middle of the field. Here's Makar. Michigan starting Shane Carr in goal. They've kind of gone back and forth between Carr and Hunter Taylor all year. Taylor started 3 games. Carr has been the man they've gone to recently, but the numbers haven't been great. That's
a spot for them that they need to get better. 44% on the season. You want your goaltender in Big Ten play to be checking in at 50%. If you want to get deeper into the Big Ten tournament, you want to go to your first NCAA tournament appearance.
Left-handed shot, first goal of the game. Daniel Kelly, his 17th.
You know, we talk about spot feeds and shooters. Daniel Kelly is a spot shooter. Similar spot to where he won it for the Terps a couple of weeks ago down at Charlottesville. The overtime victory. Maryland proved to everyone they weren't going anywhere. And Daniel Kelly, guess who he's filling in for? You mentioned earlier, Chris, all those graduated players. He's in the same spot as the Tewaaraton winner, Logan Wisnauskas, and Kelly has a beautiful stroke. He catches, and in one motion, he can go from underhand and cause fits for a goalie.
It's going to be a really good battle to face off that. Luke Weirman, the All-American, against this two-headed monster from Michigan, and Michigan has won both of them to start this game. Let's see if they can do something with this possession that they weren't able to do in the initial possession. Got to clear it first.
Yeah, it's interesting because Luke Weirman has taken every face-off other than 7 on the season. Michigan has 2 players who both have over 100 face-offs. So they're going to throw these 2 guys at you and try to wear Weirman down, but also take him out of his rhythm, because when you're facing the same guy over and over, you find out tendencies and you get into a rhythm. But when you have Wheatfeld and then you have another face-off guy in Rowlett, that just takes away that rhythm aspect.
Connery said he'll go 3 and 3. Extra pass, goal for Michigan. Boehm on the receiving end of the +1, and Michigan ties it up at 1 apiece.
He's so two-handed. He's so opportunistic. And this is a great play. And Josh Sawada, it just shows you how versatile these attackers are. All of them can pass. All of them can score. And you have 3 guys that are interchangeable. Zawada that time takes his defender out of his comfort zone, and Burles up top. And all the eyes were on number 9 because he's a forceful dodger and just leaves Boehm on that backside.
This time Weirman wins it back to himself. Gepper tried to make the extra pass inside. Wasn't handled that time, though. Loose ball picked up by Michigan. Kohler was in the middle, tried to get it to him, and he couldn't handle the pass.
That's big for Michigan. You lose the face-off, but you win the possession, right? If you could get 3 or 4 of those, if you could clear a lot better than last week. Last week, they struggled mightily against Johns Hopkins. Clearing cost them the game. 5 blown clears, 5 goals for Johns Hopkins. And when you lose by 4, do the math.
Yeah, Connery definitely said that was the biggest part of the game they had to correct this week. It looks like they've done a much better job, at least at the start of this game. Thompson gets knocked off his line, now back behind a Boehm. That's Mulholland. This midfield line, the Maze line, their second line they call the blue line. Both get about equal time. Mulholland knocked off his feet. Gets it over to Cohen. Cohen shoots. Ruppel right there to make the save. First time we've mentioned Brian Ruppel's name in Maryland lore for that 3-save sequence against Virginia in overtime a couple of weeks ago at Klockner.
It was the nuttiest sequence I can remember, Chris. In a big-time moment for a freshman to make those kind of stops was just jaw-dropping.
want to welcome you to SECU Stadium in College Park. Those of you watching Rutgers-Hopkins, the women's game. Chris Cotter, Paul Carcaterra with you. We are 1-1 here in the early going between Michigan and Maryland. Maryland scoring first. It's Daniel Kelly who got the goal. Michigan counter with Mikey Boehm, and Maryland just takes the lead again. The freshman from Marietta, Georgia, Braden Erksa, puts the Terps up by a goal.
I know someone who's smiling right now mentioning Marietta, Georgia. That's Chris Cotter, who shares the same hometown as Braden Erksa, a dynamic freshman. And look who's making the pass. I featured Kyle Long in the beginning of this broadcast for a reason. One of the best, if not the best, passing midfielders in the country. He goes behind, he inverts, he takes his defender out of his element, and he finds a flashing Erksa. But you saw the vision of Kyle Long. Kyle Long was a basketball player in high school. He knows how to deal.
Till's talking so much about how Erksa, you think about a freshman starting an attack for Maryland. Well, they had another Marietta kid in Oliver who got hurt. That opened up the door, and Erksa just describes him as a big lump of clay that he can mold. And he enjoys having that opportunity every single week with these young players.
Yeah, Kyle Long's probably the quickest player for Maryland. I think Braden Erksa, straight line, is the fastest player. I said it in the Virginia game, and I'm not comparing him or saying he's the next Jared Bernhardt, but he has that type of acceleration where if you put him in space, he just puts tremendous amount of pressure on a one-on-one matchup.
Saw Carr with the save on the other end. That's a really good sign for Michigan. They're going to need a big game out of him as he looks to rejuvenate himself after a really great freshman year a couple of years ago, kind of exploding onto the scene. They had such positive thoughts and hopes for him. Has yet to materialize, but could really carry Michigan in the second half. Boehm. Will he question mark? Nope, stays with the left. Got it over to Justin Brown. It would be nice for Michigan fans if number 1 and Maize and Blue could get a goal today. Shot, score!
That's a nice muscle dodge by Isaac Aronson, posting up the short stick and fighting through the pressure of Dante Trader, who plays defensive back for the Maryland Terps. He knows the physicality game and the leverage game, but Aronson that time just dips the shoulder right there. That's where Trader kind of loses his balance, and when he loses his balance, it actually frees up his hands. And Michigan now on the road starting to believe in these early aspects of the game.
Now it's Wheatfeld waiting for Michigan. Will he take a shot? He does. And Michigan's got a little juice now in the early going on the road, Cart.
2 face-off specialists with over 100 draws on the season. Weirman is seeing different techniques, different strategies. Wheatfeld just this time takes it right down the heart of the Maryland defense. And Maryland made a decision there, Chris. They are way more concerned about Zawada, Cone, and Boehm. So they're saying, Wheatfeld, you can shoot. We're not leaving these guys. We're not sliding off of one of these sharp shooters. He made him pay.
Justin Wheatfeld, his second goal of the game, goal of the season rather, for the freshman. Face-off violation against Wheatfeld. First of the half for either team. So Weirman will put it in play. Will stay on for the time being. Zach Whittier in the second midfield unit, including Eric Spanos. Owen Murphy, the transfer from Hopkins. Number 55 also runs on that unit. Now Weirman will sub off. No, stays on. Now he subs off.
Trap him. Yeah, he's trapping.
Yeah.
This is going to be a numbers game here.
There's Murphy, 55, coming on. Whittier looking to dodge. Up to Kelly. Here's Murph. Michigan shows, skip pass, the far side. Kelly will shoot. Carr goes down to make the save.
I've loved Kelly's shooting this season on tape. That's not one that's going to fly. I just don't think it had the zip on that shot. You know, when he sets his feet, he can let it fly. But that time, he's moving his feet. He's kind of going away from the cage and just not enough mustard.
Cohen thought about letting the lefty rip. Instead, he pulls it out, gets it to Aronson.
You'll see a lot of picks in this Michigan offense, right? They're going to force Maryland to communicate time and time again in terms, here's one right here. They're going to pick a lot this game.
And unfortunately, you get an illegal pick, and we're going the other way.
It's moving. Have to stay stationary there. You know, when you pick as much as a team like Michigan, it sounds crazy, but you really shouldn't see a ton of moving picks because you're so accustomed to doing it, Chris. Rutgers-Hopkins, that's a good one after us.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that one. Rutgers coming off really a tough performance last weekend for them. They're going to have to bounce back, and Hopkins just continues to win games.
Yeah, they've really made the most of their talent, and new offensive coordinator John Crawley's got them in sync. But Rutgers had opportunities against Ohio State. They shot 17% in that game. You know, if you turn on the tape, the chances, the opportunities to win that ball game were there.
Brad forced behind the cage. Jack Welsh defending him. Now he comes up. Can't get the shot off the shorty. Still 20 seconds to shoot for the Terps. Good move outside of the cage, though. Long wasn't able to finish.
Yeah, you saw the quickness of Kyle Long. You know what he should have done right there? Gone behind the back. He had it in his right hand. He didn't have the time to switch. If you go behind the back, you increase your angle.
Just past the midway point of this first quarter, Michigan fell behind 1-0. But on the strength of their two face-off specialists, they've been able to get possessions, scratch out a 1-goal lead. They've done a much better job in this game than they did last weekend against Hopkins and special teams in general, not just facing off, but the clearing game as Rupel goes up and makes the save.
I like the way Maryland's playing the picks. They're doing a nice job of getting underneath. You saw Zappatello right there. He sensed and smelled the pick when Cohen had the ball. It's all about your few steps prior to the pick. That's all about communication and trust in your teammates.
That's Urksa, scored earlier in the game.
You two got to get together and talk some shop on Marietta,
Urksa,
Georgia at some point.
Oliver's from that area too. More and more players from northern suburbs of Atlanta. We're seeing the college game. Murphy spins back to the middle of the field, got open initially, then the extra pass inside. Spanos couldn't turn though and rake. Maryland keeps possession, still 25 to shoot. Long. Shot by Maltz, whistles wide of the cage.
I like Maltz's game. Tough kid. Had to sit a little bit last year with all that talent. Was a 40-goal scorer 2 years ago.
There's that speed from Urksa. Maltz right in the stick of Shane Carr. Some of these shots they're making it easy,
right? Yeah, 2 shots by the Terps fading away from the cage.
Michigan looking to attack early. Boehm head up inside, and a lot of traffic, and it scores. It goes in. Trickles past Rupel. I think Bryce Clay is going to get credit for the goal. It looked like he lost it initially, but Rupel wasn't able to pick it up as it was bouncing around in the crease.
They love Bryce Clay in Ann Arbor. He's battled injury. He's a leader on and off the field. And when you're on the road against defending national champs, you take any goal you can. And the Wolverines start getting some belief that they can hang with the big boys in the turf.
The show-stopping BMW i4 is electricity in its most powerful form, with a range of up to 300 miles and the power of over 500 horses. BMW, the ultimate electric driving machine. Build your own all-electric BMW i4 today.
BK Muscle here, everyone say cheese. Classic bacon and spicy. Flame grilled double on the toasted bun with the caramelized onions. Now I want one. BK, have it your way.
Senior day in College Park today, but Clark, some of these players may come back. It's nice to honor them, and a good group of seniors. Coach Tillman and the families are here, but because of COVID and you kind of got that extra year of eligibility, it's still in the system. These players have the option, many of them, to come back, and many of them will.
Yeah, Luke Weirman, the nation's top face-off man right there, started his play in College Park in 2020. That was a season that was cut short due to COVID. So then you get your freshman year again in 2021. So all indications are a bunch of them will return for their 5th season, and Weirman's a guy that you definitely want back. But that's one guy you won't see more of. Brett Makar, who's a 5th-year senior in the lifeblood of this program. He's the first defender to get that storied #1 jersey from Maryland since it really became famous in the mid-90s with Andrew Whipple, and then just went through all the ages from Joe Walters to Matt Rambo to Jared Bernhardt and Logan Wisnauskas. That was always given to like that top offensive guy, but he's different, Chris.
Yeah, you saw the series history there, 10-0 Maryland. Michigan still looking for their first win, and you talk about Makar, and Till's talking about what's the glue that holds this team together with all the departures from one of the best all-time teams in college lacrosse last year, 15-0, the national championship for Maryland. So many of the players departing. It's that #1. It's Makar and what he does on and off the field.
Always does the right thing, never compromises what's right. And he's been doing that since he's a little kid, and I've known him since he's such a young boy, growing up in the same hometown as me in Yorktown, New York. Brett Makar always has a smile on his face, always has a lunch pail ready to go.
Brown with the shot. Now 0 for 18 on the season is Justin Brown. You get a feeling that, and I know that Coach Connery just thinks it might be the waterfall, right? He finally gets one to go, and that'll open the floodgates. That one bounces off a defender high.
And the reason they believe that, because they've seen it in the past, right? He had 5 goals against Penn State last year. 5 goals. So the potential is there. Unbelievable athlete as well.
Beautiful passing. Bain finishes it off. And Michigan's firing on all cylinders on both ends of the field here, Clark.
This is why I love Mikey Bain's game so much. He has 2 crease-type goals. You will see him behind the cage as a feeder. You will see him dodging with both hands. He's a complete chameleon. And this time, for the 2nd time, he catches Maryland ball watching. Very rarely do you see Ajax Zapatello not in the right spot at the right time, 36 and white. Bain senses the pressure is a few steps away from him on his backside, so he flashes to the ball and shows a big target and cashes in.
I love how quickly he caught and shot in traffic, Clark. It's kind of a little Xander Dixon-esque, just in terms of that, such quick hands and being able to catch and release almost in an instant.
It's a great point, Chris, because when you watch Xander Dixon, when you watch these goals by Mikey Bain, you scratch your head, you say, how does he score? Because he's not even looking at the cage, right? Like, he catches it and whoop, one motion, it's in the back of the net. That's just understanding space, that's understanding the cage, and that's trusting your instincts and doing something over and over again.
Shot inside and another goal from Michigan. Josh Zawada scores, and the Wolverines are making it look easy, Clark.
And I'm seeing a trend. Chris Cotter, you're seeing a lot of goals being jammed in the inside, right? The assisted goals, that sliver of a space for your highly skilled and crafty attackman like Josh Zawada to catch and release in one. So you could tell by this scouting report, Scott Bita, the offensive coordinator, you knew going into this game by how things are transpiring in this first quarter, jam it inside. Inside is open against this Terp defense right now.
Michigan back to Rowlett, the face-off dot. Weirman wins it for Maryland.
The goal scored by number 9, Zawada. With the assist.
Now Ursa will wait for substitutions. Surprising start to this game on Senior Day in Maryland. Michigan looking for their first ever win against the Terps, and they're up 6-2.
Yeah, this is great belief for the Wolverines. And in 2019, they were actually up 5-0, didn't close the deal against the Terps. Now you're on the road, defending national champs. You talk about a signature win. If you can get this win, it changes not only the complexity of this season, but the program. I know that sounds nuts, Chris, but I truly believe that.
Kelly, nowhere to go. Over to Maltz. Now the slide for Michigan. This is Chorus. Ten seconds to shoot. Long's gonna have to make something happen. Gets to the middle of the field. Pass inside, little bounce shot. Carr wasn't fooled by it. Erksa wasn't able to beat him.
What a pass by Kyle Long, though, right? I mean, he has eyes and the vision. So quick, and when he rolls and he splits, he's ready to pass right away. But this is a huge opportunity. I mentioned how big it is for Michigan. Michigan's 5-35 since 2015 and joining the conference, right? That's when Big Ten lacrosse started. Maryland is 35-5, a total flip job in terms of their records. You could say Michigan's had some big wins in the past. It's been Ohio State, but it's the last game of the season, then the season's over when you're not going to the tournament. They can build off a win like this, Chris.
Thompson inside, tough angle. Rupel can't find it initially, and it's laying on it. Dangerously in the crease, but he's able to pick it up. Terps able to clear. Final minute of play here in the first quarter. Maryland's got some offensive players hung up on that side of the field for Michigan, including Aiden Mulholland. Now they'll sub out.
Donovan Lacey, grad transfer. Sacred Heart, big, strong guy, and that's a position they needed an influx of talent. So you get Lacey as a transfer. Dante Trader comes over from the football team, and you know, you lose 4 shorties who were all drafted in the PLL, Chris.
Yeah. And then Kaufman gets hurt.
So essentially it's 5, right?
Yeah. It's back to the drawing board and finding guys that can play. And you mentioned a Trader, and Kohler has been outstanding. Eric Kohler. Spanos to the far side. Tough angle shot by Long. Stays with Maryland. 4 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Terps got to get a shot quickly. Trying to jam it inside. And the horn sounds. Yeah, the Michigan bench fired up as they should be. They've come into Maryland, taking on the number 2 ranked Maryland Terrapins, and they've been able to forge the lead. The Terps were fired up coming out. They scored the first goal of the game. Michigan, though, battling back. Crisp passing, accurate shooting, 6-2 after 1. Tomorrow afternoon, 3:30 Eastern on ABC, we're going to have the Women's National Championship game, LSU and Iowa from American Airlines Center in Dallas. Our pregame special gets it all started at 2:30 Eastern time. Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi commenting on the game over on ESPN2 and also on ESPN Plus. Join that conversation at #BirdTaurasi. Women's Championship, Men's Championship this weekend. Been a great tournament for both. Forward to see how they wrap up. They love their basketball here in Maryland. It's all about lacrosse today, and over the last couple of years, nerves are frayed a little bit though, Clark, after that first quarter, and Michigan really showing what they can do if they put it all together.
Michigan's made the adjustments from last week in their loss to Johns Hopkins. They were dreadful clearing the ball, 12 of 19 against Hopkins. Clearing the ball today, perfect, 7 for 7. They're beating Weirman at the face-off dot, 6 out of 9. And they're shooting really well, 9 of their 11 shots on goal. So they're really concentrating on the special team type areas, right? Like in football, you have the punt, you have the kickoff. In lacrosse, you have the clearing, you have your face-off game. All those are your special teams, and Michigan is figuring it out.
Wiedfeldt wins the face-off. Can't keep possession, though, as the ground ball goes to Geppert, and then eventually to Ruppel.
Yeah, those are the situations, though. You win the face-off against Luke Weirman, who's a first-team All-American, meaning the best in the country a year ago, but you don't win the possession. So I think that's a teachable moment for Kevin Connery and his group right there. You win the face-off. Let's get a possession out of this.
Comes Zerxa, using the pick, tries to roll back to his left, nothing doing, back up top. Brennan down the alley, now behind to X. Kelly will look to start the offense there, shot too high.
Yeah, they forced Kelly, who is a big-time lefty, up the right hash, knowing that he's not as comfortable working with his offhand there. That's good defense by Michigan.
Brennan, defense was slow to rotate over on the far side of the cage, and he makes him pay.
Talk about a needed goal for a team and a player. Jack Brennan, the senior, was shooting 16% heading into today's contest. John Tillman spent time with him this week. They videoed his releases and his workouts in terms of his shooting. And this time he does a beautiful dodge in terms of his speed, but also the awareness of the defensive pressure, or the lack of defensive pressure, to get that shot off.
Weirman wins it from Wiedfeldt. Weirman stays on to set a pick. Maltz. Tough angle shot, and the senior from Ashburn, Virginia, buries it. 2 straight for Maryland on 2 straight possessions.
Here it comes. The Terps are coming. And that is a beautiful pick. And Danny Maltz, I'll tell you, is one of the better low-angle shooters in college lacrosse. And I think he's very underrated in terms of dodging when he has a pick or he drifts. He kind of just shades to one side and then can shoot the ball with virtually no angle. Like, how does he get that in, Cotter?
Almost no angle for Maltz, and Carr's probably kicking himself a little bit as he gave up that goal with almost no angle. Still leads by 2.
The pipe. You want to hug the pipe if you're the goalie there. You want to stay tall. You'll probably get hit with that shot.
Now Michigan 6v6. Brown looking to dodge. You can see the quickness and the speed. Left-handed shot just wide of the target from Zawada. Stays with Michigan just. Player closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds, either the end line or the sideline on a shot, gets possession. So here's Mikey Bain. Working on Burlace. Brown over to Bryce Clay, the former attackman. That's Zawada, gets in front of the cage. Backhanded shot, scores!
Hey now. Skill-wise, you're hard-pressed to find a guy that's got all the tools like Josh Zawada. He's tall, he's lanky, he's fast, and he's electric. That backhand right there, no goalie has any clue in terms of the trajectory of that shot. And with his box lacrosse background, he's an interesting prospect too, Chris, because he grew up in North Carolina. He played in Canada at the Hill School. So he's kind of like a hybrid, right? He has some box lacrosse skills and hands, but field lacrosse, strength, speed, and size. Zawada is something else, and when you talk to Kevin Conroy, he knows what type of a talent Zawada is. Just wants him to command the ball, command the team, be that leader, and with plays like that, number 9 will.
Could see all 3 attackmen by the end of the day with 20 goals on the season. Just to give you some idea of how they spread it out offensively in that production.
Yeah, they're a tough matchup because a lot of teams, have the inside guy. Like Virginia has Peyton Cormier and Dixon, and they have Schellenberger behind. All 3 of these guys can do a little bit of everything. They dodge, they pass, they finish from the outside. So well versed in terms of the total craft of an attack. And you'd be hard pressed. I don't think there's a more versatile attack with all 3 players in college lacrosse.
Shot just missing the cage. 22 seconds to shoot. Urksa looking to dodge. Now he's got his defender hung up. Finds a cutter. Can't quite match up. Maltz chases it down. 8 seconds to shoot for Maryland. Spanos. He's going to have to let it fly, and it's wide. Good defensive possession for Michigan.
Yeah, and actually a smart play by Spanos. Desperation shot. At least your team then can set up the ride.
Michigan remains perfect, clearing the ball today. Thought Cohen might have a chance. Shut off, though. Goal line extended, so we'll go back around the other side.
You know what I'm getting at, right, in terms of these 3 attackmen? Like they do a little bit of everything, these guys. They're all two-handed. They all can feed. They all can dodge. They all can shoot.
Yeah, it makes you think on the defensive side when you're trying to coach. Zawada thought about taking that shot, instead gets it back to his left. You think, okay, I want to have, my defender with the quickest feet on this guy, or I want to have my defender who plays the best passer on that guy. You can't do that when you're playing Michigan.
No, you need 3 cover guys, and most teams have 1 or 2 cover guys and then an inside guy, right? So you're asking when you play Michigan, your inside guy has to be able to play on the perimeter, because that 3rd attackman, whoever you put it on, is going to dodge.
Brennan decides to bring it back. Maryland hasn't gotten much, if anything, Clark, in terms of opportunities on the break. Very little in terms of early offense. A skip pass goes wanting, says it's deflected. Brennan does. The officials agree with him.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, Chris, because Dante Trader has had a bunch of goals this season. John Geppert has. These are all guys part of their defensive midfield unit who go from defense to offense, but are threats and kind of offset some of that lack of scoring that you had from a year ago, which was at a completely different level.
Yeah, I think 11 goals out of that unit. Trader, Kohler, Geppert, Jack McDonald has a goal, long pull.
Yeah, your leading goal scorer is Jack Corus, right? Who's been terrific, a 2-handed midfielder. But you probably wouldn't have guessed that coming into this game. After 8 games, that Corus, a midfielder, would be your leading goal scorer.
Maltz on the shorty trying to take advantage. Now the help comes. Brennan shoots wide. Couldn't get much on the shot either. It stays with Maryland. Brennan's going to sub off with 5 seconds to shoot.
This is where Kyle Long can be a problem, because he can get to the rack if he speed dodges in 5 seconds. This time he elects to pass. But I think Michigan's also doing a nice job defensively. Kevin Conroy, I thought he said it best. Last year defending them was like defending a bowl of spaghetti. You had no clue where it was going, right? Like, they had so many dudes, and they were so unselfish. I had not seen, in all my days watching lacrosse, the ball move at a pace like Maryland had in 2022. I'm not saying it was the best offense of all time. I think the 1990 Syracuse offense with Gary Gate and Paul Gate and Tom Marichek and Rodney Dumpson. I thought that was the best offense I've ever seen, but I've never seen a ball movement type offense like Maryland when they won undefeated and they rocked the college lacrosse world a year ago.
Bain. Here's Cohen. Slide comes. Makar shuts him off. Now Aronson, part of that blue line. They got the Mays in the blue line. Bain, Zawada rather, back behind the cage. Bain's there to set a pick. Bonomi. Aronson, back to his right, no angle. Now Bain goal line extended up top. Cohen shoots. Rupel got a piece of it, now he comes out running. Zapp will shoot. He gets stoned by Carr. And then the loose ball in front, Zapp's gonna get the goal.
End to end, Cotter. This is a play that starts with an incredible stop and awareness of a freshman goalie in Brian Rupel, who makes the save and then chases the rock. And Ajax Zappatello, it's the save by Rupel. Ball's loose, the awareness to go get it. And he finds his shutdown defender in the junior All-American Ajax Zappatello, who's unlucky but follows his shot. And the Terps get that goal, inching back.
Here, everyone saves adulting for another time. 3-course meals end with chocolate piñatas. And conference rooms are traded for water slides. Fireworks paint the sky every night. And happy hour can happen at any hour. Here, anything is possible, as long as you can imagine it. And that's what makes Orlando unbelievably real.
King's Hawaiian sliders are ready.
Great. I invited a few more friends.
Wants more sliders.
Thanks, Mom.
Nothing brings the galaxy together like King's Hawaiian. See Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in theaters May 5th.
What's good is Hartford sophomore midfielder Sebastian Bonaiuto, also known as Sebi. In 8th grade, Sebi broke his ankle and thought he'd be back playing sports in no time. After numerous visits to the doctor, the ankle wasn't healing. That following year, Sebi was diagnosed with bone cancer, which eventually led to 8 rounds of chemotherapy, in addition to having the bottom portion of his left leg amputated. 2 years later, he joined his high school's football and lacrosse teams. When his team needed a goalie, they turned to Sebi. As a freshman at Hartford, more field players were needed, and you guessed it, Sebi made the switch. Sebi told me recently he learned through all of the adversity, you can accomplish anything when you put your mind to it.
Cotter, in 2023, we're celebrating what's good in men's and women's college lacrosse with inspiring off-field stories like Sebi's. And Sebi's coach at Hartford, Ryan Martin, told me this week, Sebi gives his heart and soul every rep, and he takes his team and he's galvanized them, and they've clung on to his resilience, and it's an amazing story. So go Sebi, we're pushing for you, and I loved chatting with you a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's really cool. Thanks for sharing that story with us, Kark, and all season long. What's good? It's a great piece that we're doing, and men's and women's games, sharing those great off-the-field stories. On the field here, we got us a really good game. Weirman's finally been able to get that face-off circle even up now with that two-headed monster, Rowlett and Wheatfeld from Michigan. It's a big part of the story of this game. Now we get a whistle, and we got a Maryland player down. That's Murphy. I didn't even see how he went down, but obviously he's got a lower body injury, getting helped off the field by the Maryland staff.
He's a tremendous shooter, both hands, and can really sling it. When you watch him shoot, it's a thing of beauty because his release and way that he changes levels from all different spots. It looks like he rolled his his ankle there, and you hope he's okay. He was big time, I thought, in their championship run, and he really benefited from that hyper-speed ball movement because he got his step-down shots. You're seeing less of that this year because the team just doesn't move the ball and create those step-downs like last year.
And here we got one right here. Hits the outside of the net, though. Brennan wasn't able to finish. Azurxa found him.
You know, credit Kevin Conry and staff for really taking a glaring weakness a week ago in their clearing game against Johns Hopkins. 12 for 19, cost them the game. 5 of those blown clears, direct goals by Johns Hopkins. I think they're perfect today, right, Cotter?
They are. Both teams are perfect, as a matter of fact. Another reason why we haven't seen any scoring opportunities for Maryland on the break. They haven't had any odd man rushes. Zawada on the run, shoots. Rupel stones him. Trader.
I love watching him play. He's something.
You can tell he was a great football player. I mean, he is a great football player.
Yes. Oh, don't be shocked if he goes to the NFL. He's a starter on the Maryland football team.
That stride gets pushed in the back, now behind the cage. Whittier. Here's Long. Looking to pass, nothing doing. Checked by the veteran, Jack Whitney. Multi-year starter for Michigan, number 14. Spanos. Back to Long. Whittier. Tried to get it to Trader, but not much on the pass. Nothing Trader could do about it. Now he's in a little bit of trouble, and it's stolen away from him.
Yeah,
Andrew Darby gets possession back to Michigan. Gonna get a timeout on the field. Coach Conry wants to talk things over. 4:26 left to go in this second quarter. 7-5. Wolverines on top, led by both Josh Zawada and Michael Boehm, 2 goals apiece.
Chameleons in their craft. You think you got them figured out. They could beat you inside as crafty finishers. They could beat you in space, flying through the air and dominating one-on-one matchups. Josh Zawada is an uber talent. And Mikey Boehm right there does a fantastic job of looking at Maryland's defense and how their eyes are glued to the ball carrier. And once he sees that, or he senses that, that's when you see him flash and cut. And that's lacrosse IQ, that's awareness. And that is kind of playing a little cat and mouse with the defense in terms of your off-ball play. When you have inside guys who have awareness, you know, Notre Dame's Jake Taylor, Virginia's Xander Dixon, and Peyton Cormier. Those are guys who know how to play. John Piatelli a year ago for Cornell. Tremendous off-ball guys who just sense a glaring weakness in terms of where the eyes are of the defense.
Hey, baseball season's already started. Our first Sunday night baseball matchup of the season. Phils and Rangers wrap up their 3-game set at Globe Life Field in Arlington. Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, David Cohn, Buster Olney, all going to be on the call on ESPN. And then Michael Kay and A-Rod back with their K-Rod presentation on ESPN2. Coverage begins with baseball tonight. Sunday night countdown at 6 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Well, a challenge for this coaching staff. Tills lost Bobby Benson from last year's staff, went to be the head coach of Providence, brought in another Bernhardt. So now it's Jesse and Jake Bernhardt. Jake was over at Vermont on board. So now 2 of the Bernhardt brothers assisting John Tillman.
Yeah, tremendous trust there with John Tillman in terms of the Bernhardts as Rupel makes a fantastic save. John has always thought so highly of that family, and Jesse and Jake and Jared's dad, Jim Bernhardt, who passed a couple years ago, was a huge mentor of Coach Tillman's, and just looked at the way Jim coached, who coached in the NFL and coached in college, and just knew the craft in terms of being a coach and doing all the little things. So you bring not one, but two Bernhardts and Jim's sons to the staff. You know what you're getting. You're getting quality individuals who really know how to break things down and coach.
That time Cohen lost it. Quick to jump on it was the goalie, Brian Ruppel.
I like him out of the cage, right? He's active for a freshman goalie. That's confidence. When you're that active out of the cage as a freshman goalie, it tells me something, because you're thinking of the next layer of the position. You're not just wondering, like, oh, am I going to make the stop? I hope I make the saves. Like, he's thinking next level there.
Right. He reminds me of a friend of ours, a certain Quinn Kesnick, who used to, little guy, you know, 170 pounds in college, running around like
orders nonstop.
Running around like
slashing attackmen, chirping.
Yep, beautiful. Just a thing of beauty. Maryland scores. Clawing their way back into it. Now, again, a 1-goal deficit.
There's the shifty Kyle Long. But to me, this is probably the softest goal Shane Carr's let up this afternoon. Long just uses the pick and the speed. So if you couple those two, speed, quickness, and a pick, you're going to get your hands free, because he's lightning in a bottle, but he doesn't get a ton of speed on this shot, almost like a knuckleball. You see Shane Carr kind of shaking his head, hoping he had that one.
Back to Rowlett, and of course Weirman. Now a battle for it on the big red M, and Keppert comes out of there with it. 6 goals by 6 different scorers for Maryland. That's been the formula all season long for the Terps. Urksa trying to use a Weirman pick. Sure, Maryland would like to keep Rowlett out there on the defensive end. Shutting off Weirman, so it's essentially 5v5 now. See if Maryland can take advantage of the extra space. Brennan gets knocked off his line, and that's going to bring a flag. We'll get a push in the back here against Michigan, so our first man-up opportunity of the game going to Maryland. Maryland wants a timeout. Coach Tills and company will talk things over. They're going to be up a man for 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's a blatant push from the back, 30 seconds. Jack Brennan didn't even have to sell that one, Connor.
Yeah, that's one of those, if Brennan doesn't go down, they probably let it slide. But once Brennan loses his footing, you got to call it. Now, I know you're a big pickleball fan. How about this, though? The inaugural Pickleball Slam. Listen to those who will be playing. John McEnroe, Michael Chang, Andre Agassi, Andy Roddick. Chang's going to play Roddick. Agassi's going to play McEnroe in singles. Then they'll double up. Fowler and Patrick McEnroe are going to have the call. Coverage begins tomorrow at noon Eastern on ESPN. As if you don't have enough to watch this weekend, you're going to have to check that out.
Yeah, I've never played pickleball. I'm intrigued by it. I think it's really cool that they're doing that. I got to ask you, like, if you had to pick someone to play pickleball with you from our ESPN crew, who would be the, I don't know, maybe the first guy?
It's easy. I don't know the biggest difference between pickleball and paddleball, but Matt Ward is a paddleball savant, if you will.
Oh, yeah. He's mastered all the country club sports, right? Golf, tennis,
correct,
pickleball, paddle. I'll tell you the last guy that I would pick, Anish Shroff. The hand-eye coordination or lack of just takes him out of the mix, right? Like anyone else,
do that to you, Anish.
Have Anish.
So you'd have to have the #1 seed in Ward pair up with Anish.
Yes, that would be fair.
Happy birthday, Matt Ward, by the way. It's his birthday this weekend. I think it's the big 4-0 for Ward up. Probably celebrating it with lunch at the club.
Terp Nation. Look, the Terps come out every single week. You know, a lot of times you don't feel it as much because it's such a big stadium, right? This place, I think, sits 57,000. So when you get a great lacrosse crowd of 10,000, you don't even feel it as much as if you'd have, 3,000 at Klocknor or a Lotta, right? You get what I'm saying here, Cotter?
Yeah, it was sort of like when the Buckeyes played in the shoe. You could have a huge crowd and you just didn't know it. Now we're going to get another flag. Maryland's already a man up. Michigan will run down that man down, and then Maryland will go right back up 30 seconds with another push. Terps looking to pay before they blow the whistle. Spanos is going to look to dodge and maybe pass off. Up top to Maltz. He'll shoot wide, and now we'll get the call.
Blue penalty number 19. Push. Technical 30. Releasing at 1:05. Please reset the shot clock to 60.
Andrew
Darby the call against.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't get a cross check. Just got a push there. His hands are blatantly far apart when he pushes. He's one of those weight room guys, him and Ryan Cohn. Ryan Cohn's family, I think, coach was telling us, owns a fitness center and a weight rooms down in Florida. Yeah, so no excuse not to be jacked if you're Ryan Cohn.
Well, back squat 435 pounds, so I guess he's had a lot of practice.
That's the shot you want from Daniel Kelly, right? I told you earlier in the first quarter when he was moving away from the goal and his feet were moving, not as much speed. When he sets his feet, he really can let it rip. And this is an extra man unit that's at 44%. They've done a nice job this season with virtually an entirely new crew outside of Kyle Long.
Just as you say that, the unforced error over Kyle Long's cross, and Michigan does a good job of killing off consecutive man downs here.
Yeah.
If they can clear it, and they do. Connery wants to call that timeout, his second and final of the half, with just 54 seconds left to play, preserving possession.
Smart one. Can't take them to the bus with you or to the halftime locker room.
Connery will use the opportunity to share.
Champions. This would be a different type of win for Michigan. They've beaten Ohio State in the past. Like I said, it was the last game of the season, and the season's over. If you beat this team in the middle of the year, then you can stack wins and you can change the trajectory of your season and your program.
And the way the Big Ten is, they just beat each other up week in and week out, really, other than Maryland. I mean, you could say that about just about everybody else in that league. There are opportunities for wins coming up. And for Michigan, if you can get a win here, you're at Rutgers next Friday on ESPNU. There's no reason why you couldn't take momentum from this game into that game. Brown behind the cage to Boehm. 10 seconds. Nifty passing and couldn't quite get it on cage. Now Clay had an opportunity. Would have been a tough shot.
What a play, though. Zawada takes his man above the goal line, and the back cut by Clay. If they finish that one, talk about momentum heading into the locker room.
7-6 our score at the break. Michigan surprising Maryland on the road. Coming up, we're going to go relaxing with Peacock. Speaking of Rutgers, Ross Scott is going to join Paul. We'll have scores and highlights from a big day of college lacrosse around the country as well. Coach Connery's got to be happy with what he's seen, but it's only one half. Still got a second half left to go. The number 2 team in the country down to Michigan at the break. You're watching the Big Ten on ESPN. Maryland and Michigan getting set to start the second half. Maryland scored first. Then Michigan went on a big run before Maryland was able to close the gap to just one goal at the break. Chris Cotter and Paul Carcaterra with you. Carc, what's been the formula for Michigan in the first half, and what do they need to do in the second half to keep it going?
Well, if you watched Michigan a week ago at Johns Hopkins, they were a disaster in terms of their clearing. Today, they're perfect. 8 for 8 clearing the ball. But I also think their ability to win faceoffs too. They're almost at 50% with Luke Weirman, who's the best faceoff guy in all of college lacrosse. That's a win for Coach Kevin Connery. What concerns me about the Wolverines, they've been scoreless the last 12 minutes. So has Maryland kind of figured out Michigan's offense?
Look at some numbers from the first half. Clark, you mentioned the clearing game. They were 12 of 19 last weekend against Hopkins. 12 of 12 in the first half. Michigan was perfect. Both teams perfect in the clearing game. Shooting too, Michigan very efficient shooting the ball. 13 of 18 of their shots were on goal, forcing Ruppel to make some big saves. Carr's been decent as well. He's let a couple go in. Don't you think that he'd like to have back? But not. You know, it's been a really rough season for him. I think he's had a pretty good first half.
Yeah, what's the adjustment that Scott Bita, the offensive coordinator for Michigan, is going to employ? Because in the first quarter, they were a heavy dose of feeding the inside, right? Finding, cutting attackmen for assisted goals inside the paint. Maryland kind of figured that out. So now do they attack the perimeter more with guys like Zawada, Justin Brown, some speed guys to change it up a little bit?
There you can see the saves that both goalies have had to make. So double-digit saves for both Ruppel and Carr in that first half. Had a little bit of a delay to start this second half. We'll get it going here momentarily, though. Want to remind you, following us here on ESPNU, we're going to keep this Big Ten doubleheader, really tripleheader going. We had a women's game before ours. You got Hopkins and Rutgers coming up after us, so don't go anywhere this afternoon. Got plenty of time to watch basketball tonight. Keep it locked in here for lacrosse this afternoon.
Lax all day, without question. And Big Ten is a very interesting conference because you mentioned it in the first half. These teams are going to beat each other up. And I think this Rutgers-Hopkins game is just so big for a potential at-large. If this is a 3-bid league, you're going to have to win these types of games if you're Rutgers. And coming into this game, after you lose at Ohio State, like this becomes almost like must-win if you want an at-large.
Cohen being checked by Ajax Zapatello. Scored a goal in the first half. His first of the year. Now Thompson. Doesn't have the angle behind the cage to Bain. Pass up top. Shot score from Michigan. Jacob Jackson's 10th of the year.
Jacob Jackson does a tremendous job in terms of splitting at the last second. He catches the feed with his right hand, and immediately the defensive pressure is flashing out to stop that right-handed shot. He splits all in one motion. Dallas, Texas, 6'4", long, lanky dude who can play with two hands, and that's where two hands pays off. You know, a lot of times offensive players think they can get away with one hand. A lot of the Canadians are one-handed, but if you're an American field player, you don't use your shoulders to slip like the Canadians have, and it's in their DNA playing box lacrosse, not needing that opposite with the shovel shots and the backhands. If you are an American field player, you want to be next level, it's critical to have both hands. Jacob Jackson shows you why.
Jackson's goal ends a long drought of almost 13 minutes scoreless for Michigan and gets his second half started the way the Wolverines had hoped. Thompson scores on the run.
Got something here, Cotter. And you said it best. This is a team that's been on runs in the past, but could they close the deal on the road against the defending national champs? And Peter Thompson's a local boy. Coach Connery explained to us they kind of stumbled upon him in the recruiting process. And boy, oh boy, are they glad they did, because he is a tough, physical, north-south player who can find pay dirt. That is a monster goal for the Wolverines.
Detroit Catholic Central High School. Another face-off win for Michigan, too. This is 3 to start the second half.
Talk about Peter Thompson, too. Flipped the script. Last year, he really struggled. He was under 20% as a shooter. Coming into today, shooting 43%, and that's all the reps. That's all the practice, the extra hours, honing in your shot to make it rain in spots like that.
Jackson feeling it!
Cotter, I mentioned in the beginning of the third quarter, what kind of adjustments would Michigan make? They were successful beating the Terps inside, right in the paint in that first quarter. Now these last 3 goals by midfielders on the perimeter. So credit Scott Bita for being masterful in terms of finding out exactly where they were successful early. They went through that lull in terms of not scoring. Now they're countering. So it was inside in the beginning. Now it's outside.
Violation against Rowlett. So Maryland back with possession. Weirman. It has been a shell-shocking for them here to start this second half. 3 goals from Michigan in the first minute and a half. You just talked about it, Clark. How do both of these teams handle this situation that they don't find themselves in very often? Urksa scores on the question mark and answers.
I love this background music. I get so jazzed when a goal is scored, regardless of stadium, and you hear this beat. Braden Urksa is dancing with a flawless, unguardable question mark here, because he steps away from the pressure and all-in-one motion, Cotter, spins, leaves his feet, the body control and balance of that question mark. A lot of times question mark is like feel the contact, take a step, shoot. That was feel the contact, step, jump, all-in-one motion and shoot. Your boy from your hometown is going to be a star. He's just too athletic.
Timmy Trumpet, the soundtrack for Braden Urksa out of Lassiter High School in Cobb County, Georgia. Gets the Terps back to within 3. Broken lacrosse stick for Michigan. Now a chance for Gephardt and Maryland. Can they score quickly? Weirman picks it up. Weirman is like a cement truck running around out there. Ground ball, we're gonna get a whistle. You see Connery at the bottom of your screen, ripped his hat off, can't believe the call. It's gonna be a loose ball push against Michigan, so possession to Maryland. Man, the intensity is ratcheted up here, Card.
There's a look at Kevin Connery. He's the defensive coordinator of the Terps national title year in 2017. Same year Matt Rambo won the Tewaaraton on the other side.
Murphy's back in there, was shaken up a little bit with an ankle injury in the first half. Good to see double Nichols and White back on the field. Tough angle, scores! Jack Corus just busted his way in. They waved it off in the crease.
I was going to say, Jack Corus has been quiet and unlucky there, just tiptoeing, not quite enough.
Cannot enter the crease at all. That circle around the goal in blue until the ball crosses the goal line. It's the goal mouth. That's it. You see the right hand in the goal mouth?
The right hand. That's
circle.
a good call.
Yep.
Yep, that was it. It wasn't the outside crease. He tiptoed successfully. Great eyes by Cotter.
Can't even land at all inside that inner circle, that goal mouth. That's there to protect the goalies. There's no gray area at all, and so they wave it off. Still a 3-goal advantage for Michigan. Bain draws a lot of attention, rightfully so. Now Brown.
Cohen. He's been quiet Makar has done a fantastic job on that matchup. And you talk about the three Dodgers and the Chameleons on the Michigan attack. Makar has the job of stopping the strongest of the three in Ryan Cohn. And when you look at Makar, pretty strong dude himself.
Low center of gravity. We'd have to be taking a lot of plates off that barbell if we were in the squat rack together.
The ultimate meathead would be Makar's legs, your upper body. That would be the ultimate meathead.
I think Makar's probably doing all right in the upper body department as well. Turnover. Can Michigan take advantage?
Cohn actually has a short stick on him right now. Donovan Lacey, 18 and white, has Cohn. They're gonna have to switch that. Now Makar comes through the box, so he'll get Cohn and pass off an offensive midfielder to Donovan Lacey. So good communication by the Terps.
Zawada falls down trying to set a pick over to the near side, and Cohen. He's checked by Geppert, the LSM. Trying to roll back goal line, extended pass inside. Couldn't finish it though. Thompson got it in his cross, and he stepped in the crease trying to retrieve it.
Oh, double whammy. Thompson drops the ball and then steps in the crease. And that was a fantastic look by Ryan Cohn. And one that if you go up by 4, you're breathing a little bit more, because trust me when I say this, Coach Connery's nerves right now are disaster zone, right? Like 3 goals is not cool for him on the road right now. Like, you know what Maryland's capable of doing.
Right, wants the kids to remain confident, just not too confident. Urksa. Up top. Thought Spanos might pull the trigger. He doesn't. Waits for help to sub in the form of Daniel Kelly. Whittier shows his speed. Slide to Maltz. And Hunter Taylor's in goal for Michigan.
Yeah, that's going to be a big
Hunter
story.
Taylor's in goal.
Yeah, he is, and he could steal one. He's one of those goalies that makes those stops. You're like, oh, how did he make that? The question is, though, Shane Carr had a really good first half with 13 saves. You know, so that's a big move by Kevin Connery.
No question, to your point earlier, Hunter Taylor is going to be tested in this game big time in the final 23 minutes. But right now, Michigan has the 3-goal advantage, and Ryan Cohen inside. Rupel makes the save.
That's another one. Cohn with 2 high-end feeds back-to-back that his teammates don't cash in. And they're going to look at the tape. If they don't hold on to win this one, 2 blown opportunities, and Rupel, the freshman, it was the pick that freed up Cohn. Eyes on the defense to him. Zawada just doesn't finish. It looks like he faked high and shot high.
And Maltz on the other end. Taylor got a piece of it. Fresh 60 on the shot clock. Chorus. Deeks. Behind the Brennan. Maltz trying to get the advantage. Murphy doesn't score.
Tell you,
got a lot on that one. Just crease cranked it.
Yeah, but Murphy's got the hands. I spoke about his hands and saw his ankle looked like it turned in the first half. It's good to see him back, but yeah, he fired that pass.
Still 20 to shoot for Brennan and the Terps. Down the alley. Got Carson Billig on him, the freshman. Can't get the shot off.
That
Chase
dude's a
Ford on the
short stick
sideline to Michigan.
Billig can play, right? Just a freshman. You mentioned, like, when you look at his headshot, like all business, Cotter, right?
Yeah.
Freshman, local kid from Brighton,
like,
Michigan,
Coach, he had
a football player.
Right, had to be a good football player in high school. And Coach was like, oh yeah, good football player. He was either a good football player or a good wrestler, one or the other.
Yeah, they recruited him as a short stick defensive midi. And that's kind of the trend now. You don't want to be moving offensive midfielders and saying, no, you're going to play defense for a year or two and then we'll switch you back, because it's the most important position you could argue on the field, because everyone goes at you. You're that corner on an island. And when you recruit a lunch pail kid who doesn't need all the hype like Billig, that was a great stop by the freshman.
Mulholland and Taylor, a little two-man game up top. Makar harassing Mulholland.
Oh, hound you. Hound you.
Babe, no angle. Really still thought about it, though. Now he increases his angle, and the shot goes off a defender. That clanked off of Dante Trader, and he's a little slow getting up.
Yeah, no one likes getting hit with shots, especially when you're not a goalie and you're not used to it.
Ten to shoot. Zawada's going to have to make something happen in a hurry. Rupel gets enough of it and ferrets it aside to Zapatello. Here's Trader. Surrounded by 4 defenders, gets rid of it. Donovan Lacey with it. Now gets it to an offensive midi and Eric Spanos. Settling in here a little bit in the second half, Kark. Furious action at the start of this second half.
Well, Maryland's had some success with this matchup right now at Urksa. And he's your space dodger. Let him use his speed.
Spanos back up top. Gets a little bit of a pick, so a little bit of space. Opted not to take the shot. Still 20 seconds to shoot. There's a shot. Hunter Taylor, you talk about the decision to make the move. Shane Carr, a decent first half. Taylor's been great.
A gutsy move by Kevin Connery. Like the belief you must have in Hunter Taylor when you're on the road and Shane Carr has 13 saves in the first half.
Aronson gets a great pick and cranks. Bouncing shot goes high. Rupel got a piece of it, stays with Michigan.
Look at Rupel, the freshman. Came into action when Logan McNaney had that leg injury that will cost him the season. National championship MVP from a year ago, McNaney, but very similar demeanor between Rupel and Logan McNaney. Like the quiet confidence. They're guys that kind of just go about their business, and the bright lights do not rattle a guy like McNaney or this freshman. So John Tillman has a wealth of talent at that position.
More quick passing, quick shots. That one doesn't find the back of the net for Bain, but Michigan coming right back at it. Clay. Zawada. Rupel makes another save. Quint will tell you that the goalie's wearing sweats to protect them from those shots. I don't know what Q's talking about with that. Like a millimeter of cotton is going to protect you.
I think it's all the difference in the world.
It does? I mean, to me, you're still...
Yes. Are you kidding me?
That's still a bruise.
Think about that. If those are, yeah, but if they're baggy sweats and they're drooping a little bit, you're going to get that extra save here and there.
No, extra save. Yeah, I'm talking about in terms of protection from the bruise. Like
anything's better.
That 100-mile-an-hour shot, you're getting no. Oh, the ricochet off the pipe, and then the rebound goes to Babe, and he shows his skill to put it past Rupel.
Got to find a way on the road to be lucky. And if you're going to close out, the program's been close in the past, but never have closed the door on a team like Maryland. The defending national champs are on the ropes. Mikey Boehm, not the most glorious of goals he will have in his career. Nonetheless, Michigan's feeling it.
King's Hawaiian sliders are ready.
Great. I invited a few more friends.
Lots more sliders.
Thanks, Mom.
Chicken spicy.
National championship game, LSU in Iowa from American Airlines Center in Dallas. Our pregame special gets it all started at 2:30 Eastern. Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi are going to be commenting on the game over on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. Join the conversation at hashtag Bird Taurasi. So we went back and did the math, and Shane Carr had 5 saves in that first half and 6 goals against Kark. So that makes the decision to go with Hunter Taylor seem a little bit more appropriate when you look at those numbers in the first half.
Yeah, our graphic popped 13 saves. There's actually 13 shots on goal by Maryland in that first half. But Coach Kevin Connery has been consistent in terms of giving these guys opportunities. And I thought Shane Carr, outside of the Kyle Long kind of soft goal going above goal line extended, he had a really good first half. So he had to think about that change regardless, because you're on the road against the defending national champs and you're winning, and you're going to make a change in the goal. So that takes some guts by Kevin Connery. But Hunter Taylor has the big save capability. When you watch him on tape, he steals some. So you're going all or nothing here in terms of beating the champs on the road.
Schreiber had a big ground ball. Got to give credit where credit is due in the middle of the field on that faceoff. So possession again for Michigan. Field has definitely been tilted toward this side here in this third quarter. Cohen, nowhere to go. Now takes it back to X.
He's going to stay with this matchup. He wants this short stick matchup.
Help comes, though. Maryland's on skates a little bit here, but they got Thompson in trouble.
Good double by Burlace, 40 in white.
Nowhere to go for Zawada. Check that Boehm. Doesn't get a push in the back like he wanted. Instead, it's in the crease. Will go the other way.
Back-to-back awesome plays by 40 and white. Burlace, the first is the double, and then after the double, there's a quick pass, and he helps out with that check right by the crease area. You talk about Makar, you talk about Zappatello, but in a game like this, you need your third defender to be a perimeter guy because of the way Michigan's attackmen play the game. They're all capable in space. So Michigan has those guys, those chameleons, but Maryland has 3 cover guys with Burlace as well.
They had Matt Rahill there last year, and Burlace, young man, filling that role. Speaking of young men, Braden Urksa. He is coming into his own as the season progresses. The freshman picks up goal number 3 on the day.
Absolutely love his game. He's fearless. He's got speed. You saw his prior dodge was up to the left side of goal line extended. This time he goes the opposite side, righty. Doesn't feel the pressure from Jack Whitney there. Jack Whitney has to get a little bit more aggressive on the speed dodger, Braden Urksa, because he has the strength matchup there. Like, Whitney should get into the body and force Braden Urksa away. But Urksa feels his hands are free and does what he should do, cans it.
Bodies flying in the middle of the field as these two face-off men continue to battle. Weirman is just doing all he can against this two-headed monster from Michigan. Horn sounds to end the third quarter. Big goal by Maryland in the final seconds, Kark, to turn this into a 3-goal contest. It was a 1-goal game at the half. Jacob Jackson on the run. Urksa with a big third quarter, a couple of goals. Rupel with the save. The lead is 3 from Michigan, heading to the final stands.
My little brother's lost. He looks exactly like me, but tall and skinny and green.
Pick 2.
Michigan head coach Kevin Connery looking for his biggest win as the coach of this Wolverine team since he took over 6 seasons ago. He's 1 quarter away, up 3 as we head to the 4th quarter, and he knows the man on the other side as well as anybody, and he knows that John Tillman is going to make some adjustments big time to get his team right back into this thing here in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, he's like the Yoda of college lacrosse adjusters, right? Like, he's always at the iPad. He's always seeing what's happening. He's telling his teams almost live time what's taking place. You see Coach Tillman with the 15 for Life Mental Matters shirt. That's in honor and a tribute to Rob Cavett, who was my best friend at Syracuse. Battled through some depression and took his own life 2 years ago. Tillman is the total package of a coach in terms of just tapping into his players, making adjustments, and always having an answer.
We felt winning the faceoff and trying to generate some early offense for Michigan, that Rupel wasn't going to be fooled.
Yeah, I've seen that twice now, right? Where Michigan probably could have pulled the ball out after a face-off win. A shot that's forced from your face-off specialist. But that's an interesting story, too, coming into this 4th quarter. Michigan always uses 2 guys, Wheatfeld and Rowlett, both over 100 face-offs this season. On the other side, Luke Weirman takes every single draw, other than 7 on the entire year. So it is a contrast of all contrasts.
Officials just getting together. Want to make sure their clocks are in sync. Game clock and shot clock. It's an 80-second shot clock. Once you gain possession.
64.
Right.
Right, should be at 64.
That's exactly what they'll do. Set it at 64. Good math, Cart.
The Yorktown education, right?
Right. Public school education's as good as it gets.
This is Curly kindergarten. Taught me how to count.
She's a legend in Yorktown. Murph, that ankle looks pretty good there. To his left, misses. Look at Erksa, though, picking up that shot. Now Long, he shoots wide as well. Erksa's there to back it up. For those who don't know the story, Kark's from Yorktown. Everybody from Yorktown is a legend. The bus driver, the deli owner, the mayor from 1967. Flag on the play. Look at Hunter going down to get the shot. Another save for Hunter Taylor. Let's check the call.
Blue 19 / 1 minute. Reset to 60, please. You know that you guys haven't gone to
Andrew Darby gives Maryland now an extra man opportunity. This is a good unit, regardless of all the talent from a season ago that departed. They're still at 44%. And they've got some shooters. Daniel Kelly's, I think, the best stretch shooter along with Owen Murphy. So 45 and 55 can sling it from downtown. And Kyle Long, 23, is the vision guy.
Maltz scores. You failed to mention 37, Cart.
He's the Johnny Dangerously. No respect, right? You see right here, the ball spins and he's just wide open. And the reason he's wide open is because everyone is concerned with those other players. Owen Murphy, Braden Erksa. You have guys on the perimeter that can sling it. You have 5, they have 6. And Maryland understands how to kind of pry at that opposing man-down defense to give Maltz his shot there. And Maltz, I think, is one of the most underrated players in the country. We've seen unassisted goals from him. We've seen inside. We've seen a nice wing shot there. They're so concerned about playing Kyle Long and pressing out because he was going behind as the passer that the wing then is vulnerable.
Violation against Weirman. 2-goal advantage for Michigan. Cohen. Up top to Bonomi. How's it Waddle? We used that pick, got his hands free, thought about it, really thought about it. Makar shut the door. Now Cohen will look to dodge. Gets a good look outside of the cage.
Oh, I thought he could have taken another step or two, right? There wasn't that pressure. He had the pick behind. He didn't feel the pressure at goal line extending. I think he took a shot, probably a step or two too early. And what that did was it just decreased his angle where he could have kept on going upfield, and Dante Trader in transition's a problem.
Too high.
Seen a lot of goals from Dante Trader over this season in terms of just him spotting weaknesses in transition, and teams too concerned about the attack play. In the middle of the field, Dante Trader is a bear to deal with 5 goals. And he can stretch too. When he was in high school, he was a top 5 recruit as an offensive midfielder. John Tillman has him as a defensive midfielder, but he's got all the skills, all the tools to sling it.
Maryland looking to close that gap even further. Maltz just scored moments ago, man up. Urksa, little confusion for Michigan. Boy, tell you what, Hunter Taylor got a little bit of it, didn't know where it was behind him, doesn't go in the net though.
Yeah, you saw the speed of Urksa, and this is such a huge clear for Michigan. After last week's disaster, you were clean in the first half. You got to clear the ball. You got to give your defense a rest because you just feel like you feel Maryland's coming, Cotter. You feel they're coming. So the way that you counter that is get into your base offense. In the first half, the inside of the Maryland defense was a little vulnerable. You've had your success on your perimeter dodges from your midfielders, guys like Peter Thompson with the ball.
Thompson increases his angle, back to his left, nothing doing. Bain quickly to the other side. Zawada, he'll look to dodge from up top. Shoots wide, stays with Michigan though. Bain backs it up, 25 to shoot. Cohen uses a screen. Mulholland. He shoots. You can hear the pop of the pads. Rupel goes down to make the save. Fresh 60 for Michigan.
Yeah, that's what Michigan wants, right? If you're not going to be lucky and hit the back of the net, you get that fresh 60. You continue to allow your defense to rest. That's taking some uppercuts on the other side of the field. Where are the matchups?
Zawada got free. Misses. Stays with the Wolverines. He's hopping on the far side. He's not happy with himself. He didn't put that on target.
Yeah, he wanted that look because he got a good pick. Makar a little slow to either switch or get underneath it. And Zawada had that look, and the angle was there, the spot was there. But the pick game of Michigan in the perimeter is going to be heavy dose in this fourth quarter.
Tried to squeeze it into Zawada. In front, left-handed crank, and a score from Jackson.
Jacob Jackson is coming to the party in this second half. You saw in the third quarter with a beautiful split right to left. This time he sees that seam. Cone gets the ball behind, instantly eyes up. And that's what you have with a versatile attack. A group with all double-digit assist-type players, always looking to get teammates involved. And Jacob Jackson right now, having the best half of his season.
Rowlett now battling with Weirman. Nice play by Rowlett to goose it to his teammate. Michigan with possession.
The goal was scored by number 15.
Zawada tries to quickly get it to Bain, who scores! And a flag on the play.
The Chameleons are back at it again. Cone can feed. Zawada can score. Well, Zawada can pass as well. And Bain can hit the back of the net. All of these attackers for Michigan are perimeter guys who can pass, score, dodge. You put them in any place, the outcome is the same. It's success. With Mikey Bain, who's been Johnny on the spot. You talk about a player with high IQ. You look at his scoring inside, the 4 goals today. Each and every one of those 4, the ball's been in his stick for a fraction of a second.
Cross check to the head, 1 minute, full time, dead ball foul, no
Wow, that is a big call right there, Kark.
Yeah, dead ball, meaning after the goal. So there's no face-off, and it's unreleasable. It's to the head on Colin Burlace. And now this extra man unit, instead of facing off against the best guy in the country in Luke Weirman, you get the ball and your extra man. Take a look at this. So he scores. A little helmet to helmet. They're going to call that play. In real time, it looked like a kind of a bang-bang play where it didn't look like it was helmet to helmet. They call the cross check. It looked more like it was helmet to helmet than his stick with his hands apart, cross-checking. But this is an extra man unit that struggled a little bit here this season, 24%.
To the head,
this one would be massive.
They got Bo Lockwood, 13 out there. He's the man-up specialist, Bain.
And that Michigan goal was scored by number 5, Michael Bain.
Over to Cohen near side. Zawada inside, extra pass, and Lockwood can't handle it.
That might have been Bryce Clay inside. Yeah, that was Bryce Clay inside. I thought he should have shot the ball, Cotter. He had the look on the high crease. 7-8 yards, that's the look. We're seeing a lot of that play when the crease is really high. Syracuse runs that a lot, right, with Owen Hiltz, but he's oftentimes 12 yards high in the crease where he bangs it down to the bottom corner. I thought Clay was in a sweet spot that could have shot that.
Trader's able to punt return it for the clear, so now Maryland will just sit on this and work the rest of this man down. Full minute non-releasable, and Michigan couldn't get a shot on goal before they turn it over. The ebbs and flows of this game, especially here in the second half, Kark, have been amazing.
Got the feeder, Kyle Long. This is the player, 23 in white, in terms of starting and initiating and passing the ball, your point guard. He's going to have to step up. He's the best playmaker and decision maker on this offense right now. He's got the quicks and the speed, 23 in white.
Brennan. He's looking for a cutter. Over to Long. Tried to get it into Murphy. He's able to track it down. Chorus shoots wide. Not even close. Race to the ball won by Michigan, too. Good hustle play will get the ball back to the Wolverines.
You know, it's these little plays. A lot of times when you watch tape on Michigan, they're so close. You mentioned it earlier, like so close, haven't been able to close it out. It's those types of shots where they're not backing up, right? Or blown clear here and there. Today, they've been so much cleaner in the specialty areas. I mean, talk about a turnaround. Last week, clearing cost them the game. This week, it could save them the game.
18 of 18 on clears for Michigan today.
Yeah, props to Kevin Connery, because that was the single worst thing they did in that loss against Johns Hopkins. And he completely turned it around and cleaned it up.
Zawada with the feed to Mulholland, who somehow was able to get enough on it to beat Rupel.
This is telling. When the ball's in the stick of Josh Zawada, when your head coach loves your game, but he wants you to be a little more assertive, take command of this offense, be the man. Well, 9 in blue has been distributing like the man, and the defending champs are on the ropes. It's all maize and blue.
The return of the cheesy BK Melts Trio. Bacon, spicy, classic my heroes. In-laws in town, it's been a long day. Can't get me down, I got it my way.
BK, have it your way.
iPhone 14 Pro?
Unbelievable camera. Switch to T-Mobile, you get one on them. Do you have T-Mobile?
Well...
And you get Apple TV Plus included. Got that?
Well...
I love Ted Lasso. T-Mobile also gives you MLS Season Pass. You get all that?
Well...
Join T-Mobile and get the powerful iPhone 14 Pro with Apple TV Plus and MLS Season Pass on the Apple TV app. All on us.
Clark, it's been the attack, as you expect, but also the midfield for Michigan today providing the scoring.
Yeah, Mikey Boehm has been your inside dose to hit the back of the net, the sixth sense to find seams and eyes staring at the ball. He's got 4 on the afternoon. But what's been really intriguing about this Michigan offense is they've beaten Maryland inside and then outside. Players like Jacob Jackson have come to the party, played the best half, not only of the season for 15 in blue, but his career.
The hat trick for Jackson. Boehm's got 4, leading all Michigan scores. A couple of spectacular goals and a couple of fortunate goals too. Fortune has smiled on the Wolverines a couple of times in this game where the bounces have gone their way. Now, do they pick up the win here? Are they able to do enough in the final 7 minutes and make the plays, Clark, to provide Coach Connery with the biggest win of his head coaching career and the biggest win in Michigan lacrosse history today?
Unequivocally the biggest win of his career, unequivocally the biggest win in Michigan's lacrosse history. Since joining the Big Ten with the rest of the Big Ten Conference in 2015 when it became a lacrosse conference as well, Michigan is 5-35. Maryland is 35-5. So a complete flip of the script. But this is a massive moment for the Wolverines. This is a moment that they've waited for decades when John Paul brought this program from club to varsity and did an incredible job making it a reality. This is what the fans envisioned.
And a pole goal. As if the team wasn't fired up enough. Jimmy Pisani, the freshman.
He's a dude, Cotter, 6'4", played at Culver, one of the best high school programs in the country. A lacrosse factory, in the guts to go full field with the pole. And I talk about chameleons, haven't said it enough. The 4-goal scorer right there is the passer in Mikey Boehm. This attack unit does everything. They're passers, they're dodgers, they're scorers, and they've got the lacrosse IQ.
Pisani's first goal as a Michigan Wolverine. Will he pick it up in the biggest game in this program's history? The lead is 6. The defending national champs are on the ropes.
You know, all those years we've watched Michigan so close, it's those bounces that don't go their way, right? They don't close it out by being clean in some critical areas. Today, it's been the opposite. They have answered.
Nothing you can do about that shot. Spanos got himself free. Hunter Taylor was at the mercy of the sophomore from Pottstown, PA, Malvern Prep.
Yeah, Spanos is going to get the short stick, and that is a beautiful job of face dodging but not losing your angle, right? Like, he doesn't go east-west in terms of decreasing the angle. He makes that split, and a lot of times when you split or you face dodge like he did right there, your escape brings you too far to the sideline and you've lost your angle. That time, he continues to go at like a 45-degree angle to close it out.
We felt. This time Makar comes out on Cohen. Prevents any early offense, which might actually be a good thing for Michigan at this point. You've said it a couple of times, Clark. They've gotten the face-off and hadn't been able to get any offense They haven't waited to get 6v6. They've taken too many chances and given the ball right back to Maryland.
Yeah, the clock is your friend. To try to create a face-off win into a goal right away by a face-off specialist when it's maybe 50-50. Should I shoot? Shouldn't I? This is what you want. You want your offense to get in sync and take some seconds off the clock and put the ball in the hands of guys like Mikey Bain, who lacrosse IQ-wise always making the smart play, but the Terps, too athletic, too strong, dislodged that one.
And it goes back to Michigan, though.
There's
hustle
the lucky
play.
bounce. The lucky
Bain
bounce.
makes the hustle play, and they get the bounce, and a fresh 80 seconds on the shot clock.
Crazy, right, Cotter?
Yes. So
because
possession was
never,
granted.
Yeah, you never want to get the ball dislodged or taken away from you, but in that scenario, it was actually perfect the way it played out because you got a fresh 80.
Cohen, he shoots. Rupel makes the save. And possession's going to go over to Maryland. So that's a big play at the 4:23 mark, down 5. Huge.
Yeah, far defender, closest to the ball when it out of bounds, gives the Terps the ball. The issue here is in the past, you've always had that big alpha at attack, right? It was Matt Rambo. Connor Kelly played some attack in midfield. Then it was Jared Bernhardt and Logan Wisnauskas. This is your leader, Kyle Long. But is he an alpha at that type of level, right? That you just feel like, okay, give it to Bernhardt. He's going to take this game over. This is more of a committee-based type offense.
Long makes the extra pass. He's there. Taylor is there to make the save. You said it, Cork. He's going to steal you a couple of them.
Absolutely. Hunter Taylor and Shane Carr. Shane Carr had that first half that I thought was good enough to keep him in the game, but if you really want to go for it on the road, Coach Connery said, you know what? Taylor's more of a showstopper. He'll steal one for us.
Clay. Oh, wow. How on earth did that not go into the net? But Michigan still keeps possession.
Yeah, I don't know why Mikey Bain, who was on that far left, just didn't throw it into the empty net if he was going to pass it to someone cutting to shoot.
Right.
You're up 5. Nothing is more valuable right now than the ball.
Aronson in a little bit of trouble on the end line. Thought for sure we'd get a timeout there, and we did. Kevin Connery saw they were in a little bit of trouble, called that timeout. He still got one on the board with 2:44 left to keep possession with 22 to shoot for Michigan, up 5. Early in the season in terms of conference plays, both of these teams played last week to open their Big Ten slate. Maryland got the win over Penn State, one of the surprising teams in the country this year in terms of what they've been able to do. But Michigan wins today. You can throw them in as well. They lost to Hopkins last week, but they could even their record of 1-1 in the Big Ten with games against Rutgers and Ohio State still to play.
You look at the standings and the teams, and when you really follow college lacrosse and you know the type of talent on these teams, this is going to be haymaker after haymaker after haymaker, right? Everyone beating each other up, a lot like the Ivy League last year, right? The Ivy had 6 teams. The Big Ten is not going to have 6 teams in the NCAA playoffs, but the type of parity in how each and every team has the potential to knock each other off. I mean, Maryland's the class of the Big Ten. Case in point, the team that everyone's probably saying is at the basement coming into today, second week of conference play, is Michigan, and they're up 5 on the road against the defending national champs. So buckle up.
Rutgers and Hopkins follows us from Homewood. Beninati and Zim on the call. Those two teams, I'm sure not watching, or maybe watching, but getting ready to play their game, thinking this conference is about to be blown wide open here with a Michigan win if they can hang on in the next 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
Yep, and when you look at Michigan, they answered the bell in terms of cleaning up what caused the loss a week ago, right? Poor shooting, terrible clearing. They've been excellent in both categories. Rutgers has to answer the bell in terms of the way they shot last week against Ohio State at 17%.
Zapatello with a nice job of dislodging the ball from Zawada. Get it back to his offense.
But this is a game, Chris, that Coach Kevin Connery instantly will be able to gather his team and get their attention in terms of, all right, guys, I know we were close. We're gonna be able to turn the corner. Guys, we were close and we closed it out today. This is a massive moment for this program.
Long. Back to his left, just nowhere to go with it. Schreiber all over him. Now he hits a cutter, shoots wide. And Michigan gets possession.
There's no backup. There was no attacker behind for Maryland. And the uncharacteristic type of mistakes by the Terps, which plagued Michigan in the past, is plaguing them today.
And on the 10-man ride with the open goal, it's Cohen, who fires it into the empty net. Or was it Zawada? I think it might have been Zawada. At any rate, that may just close the door on the Terrapins. It's Zawada, of course. You said he could do everything.
He can. And talk about when the ball bounces your way. But I love the move by Kevin Connery and staff. You know that Michigan is getting 10-manned by Maryland, right? Maryland's full court press. Rather than ask your defender to take that type of shot, or a short stick defensive midfielder, you bring Zawada over and you exchange him. He's on the defensive half, but you balance the field by putting one of those midfielders at attack. But then you give the ball to one of your best shooters, long range. That is a counter punch to the 10-man by Maryland.
Tillman calls timeout, down 6, a minute 38 to play. I know we've said it a bunch, especially here in the second half, but we cannot stress enough how huge a win this is for Michigan and this program and Kevin Connery in his 6th season. You think about this year, Clark, they're 4-4 coming in. I mentioned they lost to Hopkins last week. They've played a tough schedule. You know, last year they started 7-0 and didn't play anybody and lost their last 8 games. This year, Coach Connery's scheduling tougher teams. Virginia, Notre Dame. They beat Delaware. They won at Delaware. They won at Harvard. They had a loss to Marquette, but it wasn't. That's not as bad of a loss as it looked at the time, the way Marquette has played. Let's listen to Coach Connery.
You're going to have to be the deep J on that side.
They're going to play conservative and drop
I have one.
all their midfielders to stop any transition. But Chris, back to your point, when you play a tougher schedule, you're able to win games like this. When you play a weaker schedule and you're 7-0 and you haven't really beaten anyone, when you go on the road to Maryland, you don't win that game, right? You beat Harvard, who was a playoff team last year, and they've struggled in spots, but essentially they have their whole team back from a year ago. You beat Delaware, who was a playoff team, and beat Georgetown in the first round of the NCAAs last year. They have almost their whole team back. They have a lot of talent. So those are wins where you're playing upper echelon type talent, regardless if the teams are succeeding at the level they did a year ago. But that's what scheduling does for you. And when you're Michigan and when you're a brand like Michigan, you expect excellence in every sport that you play, right? When you roll that winged helmet out on a field, when you're the maize and blue. 5-35 in Big Ten play since 2015, when the league started lacrosse-wise, isn't good enough. And being close but not closing the deal isn't good enough. Today they made a step that's going to change the trajectory in terms of how they think, how they compete, and how they do their business.
Both these teams will be back in action next Friday. Michigan at Rutgers, 6 o'clock on ESPNU. Maryland goes to Columbus to play Ohio State on Friday. Final minute of play here from College Park.
You know, Cotter, you could also say, you know, oh, Maryland lost so many players from a year ago as they keep on chipping away. Caden Onagi with the goal there. There's no quitting the Terps. Little two-handed cradle, play the muscle game. That fake BTB shovel pass from behind. Watch it right here. Right here, he fakes this backhand pass, and he gets the defense thinking. That's a little Connor Fields action. Connor Fields mastered that play. But what I was saying is you lose so many guys from a year ago, but the reality is 2 weeks ago, this Maryland team beat the #1 team in the nation in Virginia on the road. They lost to Notre Dame's a top 3 team by 1 when they were winning late in the 4th quarter. John Tillman's teams are always elite. So anyone who's going to say, the Terps aren't the Terps, and Michigan got them on a bad year, stop the madness. Tillman's teams are always elite.
Bame trying to run out the clock. Michigan throws it away, but just 9 seconds left on the clock. It'll be the first win for Michigan against Maryland. It came in 0-10. The final seconds count down, and it's the biggest win in Michigan lacrosse history. The Wolverines finally break through and get that signature win they've been craving. And for Coach Connery, all the hard work through the first 6 years in Ann Arbor, paying off with this win. Now Kark, celebrate it, enjoy it, and build upon it in one of the toughest conferences in America.
He's fired up. You're knocking on the door for years. It's not opening. Today, you kicked it down.
For Paul Carcaterra and our entire crew, I'm Chris Connor. Thanks for watching, everyone.